This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to look at the green starter deck that comes out next month as part of BT4, and this is like one of my favorite starter decks that they've made, including the new ones that are the purple and black one that are coming out. I think this is probably one of the best and probably closest to like competitive viable right out of the box, which is really cool. So we're going to talk about the cards that come out with it, and then also at the end of it, we're going to talk about a deck list that is pretty much this with just some adjustments and additions to it to make it a little bit more competitively viable. But I think, yeah, there's a lot of good cards in this deck, and I think this is a good starting point for a lot of people who want to try getting in the game. If you can just get like two of these starter decks, I think you have a moderately good deck that you can play around with and can maybe nab some wins with, which is really nice. Alright, so looking at the Digi-Egg that comes with it, we got Modimon, and it's just like most of green inheritable Digi-Eggs are just, you gain 1k DP for specific situations. Modimon is just when this Digimon is level 6 or higher, it gains 1k DP, which I think is nice. Though I think in general, Minomon is probably still the better one outright, just because you want those boosts for normally the boosts mean a lot more for your lower level Digimon and not just your level 6s. So not having that, like, being able to boost a rookie or a champion 1k is a lot more meaningful than boosting up a level 6 Digimon. So I think Minomon's still better, and also Tainomon can also be pretty good at that as well. But this isn't a terrible card either. Especially since green does have level 7s to go into with this set as well, which can be really helpful. But I think Minomon's probably the one you want to use in generic, but this is not a terrible Digi-Egg in its own right. Next up, looking at all the rookies that comes with this set. So we got Floramon and Kunimon, which are both vanillas. Floramon is just a reskin of Mushroomon, which is still seeing play with Rookie Rush, but I think the two play cost 5k DP rookies are a little bit more required for that instead of this guy, but I think he's fine. And then also we've got I think that the ones that we really talk about are Tentomon and Palmon, though. Tentomon is probably the closest green is going to get to the draw one Gabumon for a while. So just on play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a green Digimon card, add it to your hand. Otherwise, place it at the bottom of your deck. You're mostly running green Digimon anyways, so it's probably more like a 70-80% chance that you gotta draw a card, which is totally fine and worth, worst case you just have a rookie out, which you can use for like download Digi-sorption stuff later. But I think this is a really good card and helps out the deck a lot. And we also have Palmon. So Palmon has a really good inheritable for a rookie that when attacking, if you attack an opponent's Digimon, this Digimon gains plus 2k DP for the turn. So it's just like a better version of like Minomon in a lot of ways. And that 2k is actually really significantly more powerful. And if you have Palmon and Minomon underneath the same guy, that means they get a 3k DP boost, which is pretty big for kind of boost for this game, especially since if it has piercing and KO something, it keeps that boost for the turn. Palmon and Minomon both say for the turn, so you're able to continue that boost. So which means it has a higher chance of surviving security swings as well, which is really nice. So I think Palmon is really powerful for boosting up your even if you just have it underneath a champion, like one of your champions going from like a 5k to a 7k swing can either trade or even hit over some level 5s, which is I think something to talk about. Going into the champions though, so we got 3 of them. Kuwagamon is just obviously vanilla. There's a lot of vanillas with this, which I don't think vanillas are terrible. In general, like vanillas are still used in this game, which I think is really nice for they're either quick digivolve or high DP cost, so that's kind of nice. But we have Togemon, which has the same inheritable as Palmon. I think it's a little bit less impactful on Togemon just because you get the 2k DP boost, but it's a Digivolve of 2, which kind of sucks for green just because we have so many Digivolve of 1. But it does have a play cost of 4, which isn't terrible. But being able to boost the champion plus 2k is more than just boosting an ultimate or a mega by 2k. So I think it's just better on a rookie, but it's not terrible on a champion. And then also we have Kabuterimon, which is the new kind of wave of blockers. I think eventually every color gets this, but it's super duper good. It's just a blocker with 5k DP, but it has a devolution cost of 1, which means that you can run this guy as a blocker, but you still are able to have your cheap devolutions as well. So it doesn't, obviously 6k blocker is better, but just being able to get this guy out for 1, or being able to just, if you're trying to turbo into stuff, which we usually are, this being a 1 and going up is I think really good. So I think most colors are going to be running these kind of blockers on top of the previous ones, but I think both are good, and this just helps out the deck a lot. Going into our ultimates, we have another vanilla Akuamon, but then we also have Lilymon, which I think Lilymon's pretty good at being able to cycle through your stuff. Green is really, really dependent on seeing all their pieces because they're going, they're very devolution heavy. So when Digivolving, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 level 6 or higher Digimon among them to your hand, place the remaining at the bottom of your deck in any order. And it's not, the thing with Lilymon too is that it doesn't have to be, it doesn't say green, so if you have one of the new Chaosmon level 7s, that green can go into both. This can be really handy at finding that and making it so you can go into your level 6 into your level 7 or something like that. So I think for consistency wise, if you're having consistency issues, Lilymon can help out green decks a lot. And then we also have Mega Kabuterimon, which is a beast in its own right. So it's a devolution cost of 3. But your turn, once per turn, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So this is one of the first burn damage cards in the game, and so it just means that pretty much any of your piercing on top of your level 6s gain security attack +1, but better. So that's really good. Being able to just trash it is amazing, especially since there's so many security decks that are running around right now with Gaia Forces or the free play Kais. So being able to just trash an additional one, I think feels good for the deck and helps out. It's just a bunch of power. And I think just in general, Green had a hard time finishing off decks. So being able to run this, I think is very good. And then the megas that are in the starter deck, we've got Rosebond. So Rosebond isn't terrible. When Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon can't attack or block until the end of the turn. So then their next turn. So it's a pretty good stun card. And I think the only thing that holds it back is that just the other level 6s are just better for the slot. But I don't think Rosemon is terrible. And then we also have the big boy Hercules Kabuterimon. So it has piercing. It's a big 12k. It is a devolution cost of 4, which kind of sucks. If 3 would be super duper good, but it has a main Digi-Burst for 2, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So being able to just go up into this guy means, especially just from your raising area, means that you will have two sets of Digi-Burst 2, so you'll have 4 cards underneath it, which is very good, especially since, this has piercing as well, and so if you have this and your Mega Kabuterimon is one of the cards underneath it, you can Digi-Burst 2 that you don't need, rest something, swing into it, pierce, and then also deal an extra damage just because of Mega Kabuterimon, which is great, and then you can, if it's still your turn, you can go into the new Chaosmon, and that swings, and that can just do another piercing, it's a lot of damage that happens all at once, and it can be very overwhelming. So I think this guy is very good at what he does, and he can be very aggressive and honestly just worth building into. I think it can be a really good boss monster. So even though he's just a 12k, you can still use its Digi-Burst to suspend something, and if you only have 2 cards underneath it, you can have Palmon, and you can have Minomon, and so then you would have 3k, and he could trade with an Omnimon, right? And there's other ways for cards that we can go into right now with the updated deck list that can really help him push over even Omnimon pretty easily. But before we do, real quick, here are the tamer and options that come with it too. Izzy, I really like Izzy. I don't know if you run him, but he's really cool at what he does. So your turn, when one of your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, you may suspend this tamer to gain 1. So I think something that hurt Green before is that if you could hold them at 1 memory, they wouldn't be able to do things like Flower Cannon and still keep it on their turn and that kind of stuff. But with Izzy, you always get at least 1 memory on your turn, so you can use Izzy. You can play him, you do Flower Cannon, you do for 2 memory, but you suspend him, so your memory is still at 0, and it's still kind of your turn. So I think he's really cool if you don't like to run the Mimi and spend 4 memory to play Mimi out. I think Izzy's a really cool card at gaining memory for you and helping essentially Green not get memory choked, and it activates on stuff that you're already wanting to do anyway, so it's really, really cool. And then we also have Needle Spray, which I wish I wish it was the Japanese name. The Japanese name is Chika Chika Bong Bong, but we just have Needle Spray, which is just less fun to say. But this is a flower cannon analog in a lot of ways, but the more I see it, the more I think it's just better. Even though like the main effect is the exact same as flower cannon, the security effect is activate this card's main effect, then add this card to your hand. So being able to use flower cannon from your hand, but then like being able to flower cannon would sometimes win you a game just by arresting your opponent's whole board, but I think that scenario was really rare and wasn't really worth it. So being able to just suspend something is fine, and then if your opponent doesn't have anything on the board, worst case you just get to draw one, which can be really helpful. And with just all the new tools that we get with green, I think Needle Spray is really good and at what it does. And they also have Electroshocker, which I think it's named Terror Cluster. It's the 7 cost version of this, which is almost the exact same, but instead of returning it to their hand, it just goes to the bottom of the deck. I think this card's actually kind of worth looking into as well, depending if you're playing like a more control version of it. Being able to activate this effect when it's in your security is really good too. Obviously, going to the bottom of the deck is better than returning it to their hand, but it still doesn't, it goes around like a Millenniumon, being able to restand itself and everything. So I think it's an okay card. It's good for like the starter deck meta for sure, but I don't know if it's worth running in a competitive deck. So anyways, let's go to the deck list. Okay, here's my current update to the green starter deck based on cards from BT4. Honestly, this deck is really cheap too. I think the only other super rare we have is the Lilamon, which I don't think this card is going to be expensive, and if it is, you can play other cards for it too. It's not a hard need for this deck, but it does make it a little bit better. But yeah, the main idea is that we have some rookies. We're running Lalamon for sure, since we have some Digi-Burst effects, 3 Tentomon and 4 Palmon. I think Palmon is going to be very good at what it does. And then some Goblimon, Terriermon, because I just like the card and it can stun some decks. If you don't like Terriermon, don't run it. You're just going to use another rookie, but I wanted to run 2 of those. So there's 15 rookies there. Going to level 4s, Stingmon I think is going to be really helpful because we're playing on popping a bunch of dudes, so being able to gain memory for doing that is great. Gargomon also can help you gain more attack power if you need so. This card gains 1k DP for each of your opponent's suspended Digimon, so if your opponent has 2, then it's the same as Palmon, which is great. Going into our level 5, so we're running 4 of these Mega Copateriumons. You can maybe roll this back to 3, but I think being able to see this guy I think is really, really handy for what you're doing. Once again, 3 Lilamon, just because once again it has the same thing as our starter deck rare, where you just Digi-Burst for 2, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, which is great. And also it has inheritable, and when attack if you have a Tamer in play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So being able to just do both I think is really handy. And then going into, we also have 1 Argomon because we can only run 1, and 1 Blossomon too. Let me know what you guys think about these. I don't know if I mean, I think you gotta run Argomon no matter what. I don't know if Blossomon is really worth it, but we still have hard play stuff, especially Tentomon. Tentomon's really good at just being our hard cast. So you can hard cast this, and the next turn you can get the memory back that you invested into it by doing a Blossomon Digi-sorption. So there's that. What else we got? Obviously 4 Copateriumon blockers because they're good, and they're only 1 Digivolution cost, which is great for us. 1 hidden potential discovered because we can only run 1, but obviously we run 2 or 3 if we could. 2 needle sprays because I think this is worth trying out and can help you out in some spots. And then going into our megas, so 3 of the starter deck mega. I think this is enough for the deck. If you want to run 4, I mean, if you don't have the other cards, you can just definitely run 4. I don't think it's a mistake doing that. And then 2 Mega Gargomon, just because it has a really good stun effect for us. And suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It doesn't unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase. And when your opponent has a suspended Digimon in play, this gains security attack +1, which is really helpful. And also I'm running 2 Boncho Stingmon, just because I really don't like Boncho that well. But being able to, let's say like you just have Lilamon in your security and you have your tamer out, right? Let's say they just play like an Omnimon or something and then pass turn. You can raise your Lilamon, use its effect to Digi-Burst 2 to rest anything. Go into Boncho Stingmon, so it's still your turn because you have Mimi out, and you just swing into it, and then it just becomes a really big dude, right? It can go over Omnimon. It gets a security attack +2. it can really just end the game. So I like it at 2 for what it does. You know, in BT3 I really didn't like the card because I didn't feel like it had enough things to go over, but with green and yellow also having their own megas to worry about and everything else, I think Digimon will just have more use about it. And then talking about Chaosmon and you know, the new megas, we're running 2 of this. If you want to run 3, you can. Also, this card's only a rare, so it's not going to be terribly hard to get in my mind. It's going to be probably a low expensive, but not super rare expensive. Obviously, I think the other Chaosmon's going to be way more expensive, but I think this card is really good at what it does. Once again, you can Digivolve on top of something, and then if you already have Mega Kabuterimon, it's still your turn. You get another swing. It's piercing, so you get to do 2 more damage if you swing over something, and can really, you know, throw your opponent for a loop. So that's the deck for me. Let me know what you guys think about this deck, what changes you would make, and then we'll probably go. Let me know if you guys want to see BT5 or sorry, Star Deck 5 or Star Deck 6 for a next kind of video like this. And that's really it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.